Hey, what is going on, everybody? Jesse Delgado here, and I am very privileged to have Alejandro Reyes with me. He's actually getting ready to do a 1-hour influencer workshop here in Sacramento. We're going to jump right into it. Alejandro, man, thanks for making the time.
Man, thanks for having me.
Great. So for the people that don't know you, right, just give us a little bit about your background, who you are, and what you do.
Okay, cool. So started marketing in '98, got online, and the reason I did is because we were kind of broke and we didn't have a car, so went on the internet because I didn't have a place, a car to drive different places, and so started learning at marketing. Failed for a very, very long time. Had my first daughter in 2008, so I failed for a long time, and that just changed the game for me. Started an agency in 2008, sold that in 2012, moved to Washington for my wife to go to nursing school. And then I was recruited by a startup company that we ended up taking. I built a strategy that took them from $10 million to a $100 million company in 2 years. And over the last year and a half, been running an agency, helping people inside of the church space as well as outside of it, really helping them grow revenue and impact more people.
Great. Wow. That's a background for sure. For people like myself, I'm just getting into it, right?
Yep.
I just, we've kind of talked offline a little bit. What would you say to those people?
Yeah, well, if you already know your talent and you have this burning desire inside to impact people, help people with your gifts, which I'll be talking about tonight, then I think you have to have the audience first mentality. I see too many people that have an idea. They just go out there and try to target every single person out there. And so an audience first mentality would say that you've got to figure out who your target audience is. It could be, and it should start very narrow, and you got to find that audience's biggest problem. What is their biggest pain point? And we're not talking about, a vitamin. We're talking about, we got to give them a painkiller. Sure. People don't like spending money on vitamins, but if they have pain, they will do whatever they can and pay whatever they can to make sure to fix that. And so you have to position what you do best, your product, your service, your message, whatever it is, as a way as the only viable option to solve that pain. And so you've got to do research on who your audience is. Most people, I'd say 99% of marketers skip this step, and this is why they wonder why are people so successful and I'm still struggling?
Good point. That's a good point, man. That's a key takeaway, right? People don't like vitamins. So kind of on that note, right, is obviously that's some advice for people, audience first.
Yes.
What would you say, just in your observation and over the years that you've been doing it, where do you see people most getting tripped up at when they're starting out?
They want to be all things to all people. They have a lot of passions. They have a lot of things that they love to do, and they love people so much, allegedly, that they want that everyone's their market. And so to me, clarity, really understanding what your message is and understanding that it serves a specific audience. The Bible talks about, the different talents. Certain people got more than others, right? And you've got to know and be self-aware of who your market is. And I can't stress that enough, really understanding who your market is, because it could be small. A lot of people right now are online. Like, you have to have a massive audience. You have to grow a massive business. I don't have a massive audience. I have like 6,000, followers on Instagram. I don't even have that swipe up. I don't have that blue check mark. I don't need a big audience. Yeah. And so I think that's one of the biggest lies right now that people told you. You need a big audience. Yeah. You need a big presence. You actually don't need that. You need to be the authority and the go-to leader and what we call it, an influencer to that specific market. Good. And so,
where do you think it's going digitally? And what would you say to encourage somebody in this space?
Yeah, well, I think we are there. It's not going, it's already there.
Okay.
I think if you're saying we're going somewhere, I think we're going to be in like self-driving cars and see ads on windows, like inside of our car. Like we'll be watching YouTube and our Tesla or whatever will be driving. That's like the future, sure. Right? Augmented reality, virtual reality, all those type of things. Yeah. Where we're at right now, there's a scripture in Ezekiel says he sat where they sat. And so, 20 years ago, you could spend $15,000, $20,000 putting it in yellow pages and people, sit back and wait for people to come to your church, wait for people to come to your place of business, restaurant, whatever. You actually have to go where people are at. If you look at Jesus' ministry, like the guy was out connecting with people, and then he'd bring them back to, someone's home or whatever, and to church or whatever. And so I think we have to get out in the trenches instead of staying in the four walls, whether it's a church, a business, or whatever. And so to me, it's going to be really difficult long-term if you're not where your audience is at.
Wow.
And again, maybe your church, maybe your business has a small audience, and that's kind of what you're called to. But again, I go back to having the awareness, understanding what you are called to, and getting very specific around that, and then articulating that to your staff, your people, so that they buy into that vision versus like, I know a lot of churches that may go like, man, like we want to reach everyone. And the pastor's vision is like, man, this is our niche. It's not a massive niche. We want to focus on this community and serve them best, serve them well. And so you've got to understand that, have that vision, and then really articulate that and communicate it to your audience, to your staff or whatever.
I think that a lot of people don't really know how big and how many people. They don't really understand the gravity of the reach that you can have online and through some of these other platforms.
Yes, people spend most of their time on some sort of app or on the internet. It's very rare that you don't, but there are people that don't spend all their day on there. But this is why I go back to, if your audience is there, if you're struggling, and hey, if you're crushing it right now, then you don't have to go do it, right? If there is a ceiling or a lid that you're hitting in your organization, your business, your career even, I think it might be time to start to grow your level of influence. Here's the thing, your level of impact is directly correlated to your level of influence. I'll say it again, your level of impact is directly correlated to your level of influence. And so you've got to figure out, if you want to impact more people, you've got to build that influence. And if you want to grow your organization, your business, and you are struggling or hitting a lid right now, I think social media is the best place to grow that influence.
Awesome. What would be your advice to believers in the marketplace?
Yeah, so influence, like it's basically persuading someone to do something. So if you understand the weapons of influence, you can use that for manipulation. So manipulation says, I'm going to persuade you to do something that's best for me. I'm going to persuade you to buy this because I know it's going to put money in my pocket and I'm going to win. And I don't care about you. But influence and persuasion the right way is saying, I'm going to help you and persuade you to do what's best for you. So if I'm ever going to sell you something, if you're ever going to become a client of mine, or if I'm ever going to give you a product or service, it's because it helps you first. And I think regardless of your faith or not, you have to do what's right. And to me, you got to almost act as a fiduciary. You got to do what's in the best interest of the other person versus, and I think if you come across, there's people we turn away so much business because one, we're not the right fit, or two, it's because people they're just not at the right place in their business. And so to me, I think if you want to be above reproach, as you say, then you got to make sure to have that, again, back to the audience first mentality of putting people's needs first.
Alejandro, thank you so much for your time. Where can people find more about you?
At Alejandro Reyes, man. It's an easy spot.